God commands us to be involved in the raising of the dead when it comes to the soul. Now, the first kind of soul death that occurs to me is one of an emotional nature. That is, sometimes relationships die. Relationships that God gave and God wanted to bless you with and wanted you to bless others with, and those relationships die. Sometimes due to your fault, somebody else's fault, the influence of sin in general upon this world, or, and then God, hopefully, like with the story of Job, is going to use that bad thing to bring about a better thing. So, when the prodigal son says to his father, I want my inheritance, when does an inheritance come? When the father's dead. So this is something my pastor told me, and it's brilliant, that the heart, the anticipation, the real intent of the prodigal son is let's be dead to each other. Let's behave from now on as if we're dead to each other. And then I'll just take the money and we'll never talk to each other again. No man should be waiting for his father to die to get his money, by the way, just obvious. And what happened when the prodigal son returns is that a relationship is resurrected, that there is an emotional or soul-centered resurrection of something that was good that died. How many relationships has God put in your life that for your fault, someone else's fault, general influence of sin upon the world, have died? And you're part of that relationship as a dead husk within you. There's a thing called phantom limb syndrome, where your body is accustomed to feeling electrical stimulus coming from your hands and your feet. And there's people that have lost a hand or a foot or an arm or a leg due to an illness, due to neuropathy, or it's a common side effect of places that have landmines. Cambodia, for instance, has the highest amount of one-legged people because they have the highest amount of landmines. That's not funny. That's a terrifying and ugly reality, okay? So, the people that have lost their leg experience things like itchiness or hot or cold, neurological stimulant coming from a limb that isn't there. There's a lot of interesting reasons that one could go into for that. But I believe that when that relationship is dead, there's a part of you that still acts as if it's connected to that person. Still, you are receiving some kind of stimulus. That is, example, I am divorced. I do not miss I miss being married. I don't miss that marriage. I hope that God's going to provide my second and final wife somewhere in the near future. I don't like being single. Although I'm content, I'm willing to obey God as long as the right person has not been presented to me. I don't miss my ex-wife. I have a daughter who I haven't spoken to in a few years because she decided that this was her opportunity to not, oh, hey, the divorce is happening. What if I just don't talk to dad for a few years? And I'm believing that God gave us two parents for a reason, and eventually you realize that, okay, I have this one for this and this one for that, and then they get back in contact when they have that realization. So I have faith in that. But there's no existing relationship, and part of me feels connected to her, feels as if, she's still there and involved, and as if we've had interaction. Part of me will always be her father. Part of me will always relate to that relationship. I don't love her mother anymore. I love my daughter more than I've ever loved any human being upon this planet. The day she was born, I had this realization. If she needs anything, a lung, a kidney, it's not a question. She just gets it. If I have to die for her benefit, I just do it. So there's a connectedness even though it's disconnectedness. So, dead relationships in your life. I don't want to get, I didn't mean mean to get overly personal, but there are people that were a conduit of life to you, spiritually, emotionally, intellectually, um, that had value in your life. And your sin or their sin or the general effect of sin upon humanity killed it, and it's dead, and it needs the resurrection of God upon it. God commands us to be involved in the resurrection of things that have died in the human soul. I exhort you not to give up, but to pray. Not to give up, but to be God's hands, to be God's feet, in the hope that God intends to bring about a miracle that will transform your life and bring glory to Him. Now, very much connected to that, in the soul, in our thoughts and our feelings and our will, sometimes God gives dreams, hopes, a vision for a future. And sometimes bad things happen. People go out of their way to crush your dreams. You may fail in some way and be unable to forgive yourself. You may fail in some way and others are unable to forgive you. And a dream died inside of you. I can't tell you how many dreams have consumed all of my thought and vision that I thought were from God, and were trod under people's indifference, trod under people's hostility, trod under fill in the blank. God is a resurrector of dreams. Who do you know that lives next to the gravesite of their dream? Now, there are bad dreams that we're not supposed to fulfill, and there are good dreams that we have either, in weakness, allowed ourselves to be discouraged from, or been overcome by other people's sin, or other people's indifference, or other people's inability to hear God's voice when it comes to the role they're supposed to fulfill in assisting you to get where you're supposed to be. See, we're not in this alone. Acts 2:42-47 talks about us being interconnected. They had all things in common and shared as each had need. That isn't just physical resources. That isn't just money or wood or food. That's all the gifts you have and all the needs you have and all the gifts that your brothers and sisters have and all the needs that they have, meant to serve each other in a spirit of interdependence, showing God's body working as a whole. Some of these dreams are dead because of our inability to function as a whole, and they can be resurrected by the body functioning as a whole. Whose dreams have you discouraged by thinking it was a dumb idea, or thinking you didn't have time or energy even though you had the gifts? Whose dreams have you allowed to starve that you could turn around and act as the hands and feet of God and participate in resurrecting? I exhort you to examine that carefully. We're not on our own. Your brother or sister whose dream has died was meant to be blessed and ministered to by many people to get to where God intended them to be. There are dead dreams because of our sense of autonomy, our sense of being supposed to do it all ourselves. Do you even know your brothers and sisters' dreams, hopes, anticipations, vision from God? Are you one of those people that only acknowledges a vision from God when it's successful? If so, shame on you. The glory is in watering the seed when it's small. The blessing is when that comes to fruit, not when you ignored it for 10 years and then showed up when it finished. Whose dream and vision could you be watering today with your encouragement, with your gifts, with your friendship, with a coffee and a prayer? please consider how you could be the hands and feet of God for resurrection of dreams, and resurrection of dead relationships. If I have blessed you or encouraged you, please like and subscribe. Thank you.